What are the potential long-term effects of these stimulus packages? That is exactly what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But before I get into that, I briefly want to explain exactly why we have these stimulus packages and then explain where that money is coming from. So there's three main reasons for these stimulus packages. The first is to prevent a mild recession and turning into a full-blown depression. The second is to decrease the amount of time we spend in the recession, therefore decreasing the overall impact on the economy. And the third is to give US consumers the confidence to go out, spend money, buy things, and just overall get money circulating throughout the economy. Now, where does all this money come from? So it starts with the Congress passing a certain stimulus package. The Treasury Department then obtains that money by selling Treasury bills, Treasury notes, and Treasury bonds. These three things are basically the same, just with different maturity dates. So you can think of them as slips the government gives you that says, okay, we will pay your money back at a certain date with a little bit of interest. You have some, like Treasury bills, that mature in a few weeks, where the government has to pay you back in a few weeks, and then you have Treasury bonds, which might mature in 20 to 30 years. So the Treasury Department sells these three things to separate entities, such as the public, me and you, private people, companies, foreign entities, and even the Federal Reserve. The government then uses that money to distribute it out to the people and the companies or whoever that stimulus package is supposed to go to. There are two issues that can arise from this. The first is inflation. Because the Federal Reserve is printing money, not physically printing bills, but it is digitally creating money in order to buy these Treasury bills and Treasury notes from the Treasury Department, it is essentially increasing the supply of the dollar in circulation, therefore decreasing the value of the dollar. In short, inflation is just the decrease in power of the dollar. So something that cost $1.50 today might cost $2 to buy in the future. So you buy the same asset, but it costs more money. Now, a little bit of inflation is healthy. A 1 to 3% inflation shows good growth in the economy, but an inflation over 5% is bad. And if you hear top economists speak right now, inflation isn't of direct concern because of the money that we're printing, but eventually it will be. Right now, though, we're good. The second issue we can create is the increase in the United States debt. Now, there's no question that United States debt has been amounting well before today. And if you actually look at the last 2 decades, you can see that the debt has been steadily increasing. But this last year, there's been a huge spike in our debt. So looking at exactly how much it is right now, you go to the usclock.org, you can see that right now we have a debt of $27 trillion. And then I also want to point out that we have a GDP of $21 trillion. And then our debt to GDP is 128%. Now, how bad is that? Well, let's see how it is relative to other countries. All right, so if we look at here, we can see that Japan is at the top, which is the worst. They have a national debt to GDP of 237%. And the United States is down here at position 13 at 106%. So we know this is a little outdated because it's actually higher now than this number, but it gives you a decent idea of where the US is compared to other countries. So we're definitely not the best, and we're not necessarily the worst. I mean, we're pretty high up there, but we're not the worst. So this debt is eventually going to have to be paid off. Now, there are 3 ways that you can pay off debt. You can increase taxes, you can cut spending, or you can print money. Now, the third one is a horrible idea, not just theoretically, because by printing a lot of money and increasing the supply of the dollar like crazy, you're going to cause very high inflation, but you can see in history where this has actually happened. So if you look at 2008, Zimbabwe printed an absurd amount of money, and they ended up with an inflation of over 950 billion% per year. It was so bad that the price of goods was doubling every single day. So you can imagine a bottle of water costs $1 today, $2 tomorrow, $4 the next, and so forth and so on. So horrible. And then in 2018, Venezuela, there were a lot of other problems that Venezuela had, but at the root problem of their hyperinflation, which is ultimately what destroyed Venezuela, was because the president or the leader printed a crazy amount of money. So printing money is not the most efficient way. Costs will probably have to be cut, but won't be enough. So taxes at some point or another will more than likely rise. So going back to my original question, what are the potential long-term effects of stimulus packages? For one, it's the inflation that is bound to happen at some point. The second is the raising of taxes, which is also bound to happen at some point. And the third is the burden on future generations because of this rapid increase in debt that we probably won't be able to pay off in our generation. Future generations will also have to probably raise taxes to help pay this off. With all that being said, whether this cost is worth the benefit, because without this stimulus package, our recession would probably be a lot worse than it is now. But that is something that you can debate and argue. But overall, that's it for my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the like button if you did, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this.